I know with everything in chiropractic going on right now and back home in Canada and here, there's even a lot of tension within the profession. I think instead of looking at, hey, this is where I want to see chiropractic within the whole medical model or Western health in this time in the future, for me, I want to see more union in our profession.
This is the Chiro Inspired Podcast, where chiropractors come to learn, to be empowered, and to be inspired. I'm your host, Dr. Richard Letta. Hey everyone, today's guest is Dr. J. Torralba. I actually met Dr. J in Atlanta, where he was going to school at Life University, and we were both attending a seminar that was taking place there. Now, finding out that Dr. J actually grew up in Mississauga, Ontario, and him being Filipino, I think when we spotted each other, we were like, okay, that's someone I can be a friend with. And it was pretty funny in terms of our connection and how our friendship has developed over time. Now, again, Dr. J is from Mississauga, Ontario. He found himself moving to Marietta, Georgia to pursue his chiropractic degree after playing in college Division I baseball, and has since then he's moved around from Atlanta to California, and now I believe he's actually in Knoxville, Tennessee. What I know about this guy is that this guy's extremely talented, musically, athletically. He's an awesome chiropractor, very passionate about principled chiropractic, and he's just a good human and a good dude. He's a worship leader at his church, and again, like I said before, he is talented beyond measure when it comes to music. So today's guest again is Dr. J. Torralba. I hope you guys enjoy. This one's a good one. All good, man. Well, thanks for coming on here.
Yes, thank you, man. It's my honor.
Jay, do you remember when we first met, what seminar that was?
Yeah, so, man, I think I was still in probably fifth, sixth quarter at Life University, and it was downtown in Atlanta. And I remember that you're sitting at the restaurant, and I think it was a Maximize Living seminar at one of the hotels there. And I didn't know you. I knew you were Filipino, so we had that instant connection. So, and then you said you were a chiropractor, and I think from there we just became really good friends, and I realized you were also Canadian. So and we just connected on all levels, which was awesome.
It was funny because we saw you at the seminar. I'm like, this guy must be Filipino. This guy, he's darker than me. But yes, you're a chiropractor, and then I found out you were from Mississauga, correct?
Yeah, that is nice. That is right. Just east of you guys, right?
Yeah, just east. My cousins actually live in Mississauga right now, and I go there very frequently.
Mm-hmm. Well, our community has really taken over.
Yeah, I love it. So, brother, as we get started with kind of the interview process, if you don't mind, before this, I would have had a little intro for the guests and for the listeners, but could you tell us a little bit more about yourself, your practice, your business, your family, or whatever you'd like to share?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in practice for about a year now, and I've been really blessed to just be able to see and serve at the capacity that I've already have at this early of a stage in my chiropractic career. Really, I never really thought I would end up as a chiropractor. My whole life, I trained and prepared to become a Major League Baseball player. With the grace of God, I got a scholarship in New York at a small Division I school called Canisius College, and I played and started there. Played baseball for 4 years, and it wasn't until my senior year where I really just didn't have a passion for showing up to the field every single day. It was a grind, and I just felt life started outside the baseball field. And so I started exploring professions. As an Asian, your parents kind of instill what they want for you. So the prerequisites that I took were a lot of pre-med courses.
Hmm.
for med school or just to become some sort of doctor. But little did I know that everything that I've been through in life was preparing me to become the best chiropractor that I am today, you know, with all the training and discipline. So growing up, I played with the Ontario Blue Jays in Canada, and
Nice.
through the people I met there, they kind of led me towards chiropractic. And before I knew anything about the profession, I just thought it was just popping, cracking, and you can make a lot of money through it. So when I was
Yeah.
a kid, I don't know if you know what Kumon is. I think that math tutoring. I remember when I was a kid, I would go to this math tutoring facility, and right beside it was a chiropractic office. And my mom would always say, like, "Look, Jay, like this chiropractor sees so many people. There's cars here all the time, and people are going in and out." And at that time, I had no idea what chiropractic was, what true health was. Um, and all I thought it was just moving bones, making the popping and cracking sound. And through the people I met through baseball, they led me to a vitalistic chiropractor. There, I sat through my first doctor's report, and it really opened my eyes to what true health was, and that there's a whole new paradigm of health that a lot of people don't know about. And so I shadowed that one day. I saw families come in. I got adjusted myself, and I saw kids come in as well. And man, just the people coming in and leaving that place, the joy in their faces, and just the atmosphere. It was like, this is where what I need to be doing. So I'm really thankful that that door opened at the end of my school and baseball career. And looking back at it from today, everything and all the training that I've done through baseball, like working on my hands and form and speed and precision, all of that translates to what I get to do in practice every day with how I lay my hands on patients and how we adjust. There's just I just feel like there's a different level and an advantage that I've had because of all the training I've had in my past. So, just looking back at from a sky view of my life, it's like, wow, everything that I've been through has prepared me just to serve our patients here in the Knoxville community with the best of my ability. And so I'm really grateful for that. I would I wouldn't have guessed I'd be here in Tennessee. We talked about earlier, Doc. I'm from Canada,
Yes,
and
sir.
at first, my original intent was to go back home with my family and join a practice there. But the Lord really took me to a different direction, and I feel like right now, where I am in the South, I'm really making a big impact, and I know this is where I'm supposed to be at this point of my life. So I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah, and you're a really big part of your church. I think I remember you saying, correct?
Yeah, so when I was in school in Atlanta, I had the opportunity to play worship on one of the churches they attended there called Passion City Church.
Hmm.
Music was also one of my side passions growing up besides baseball. So um, being plugged in there and just being able to serve at that capacity and just really dive into my other passion, which is music, has been such an honor, and being able to do that, I get to share the message of health and wellness to people that I wouldn't normally have reached out to if I didn't play music or if I didn't serve at church. So I think, especially serving in the church area, they really can understand the the value of what we offer as chiropractors is that
Hmm.
God designed you not to be sick but to be healthy, right? So really in our office is that we want to be that place, like we're your refuge of hope. Like nothing that you come to us with is going to scare us. It's not going to raise our blood pressure at any means. We're going to just love on you, and we're just going to believe for the best. And that's what we get to step into every single day we walk into the office, and it's just so amazing.
Oh, I love that. So I think it's fair to say that your faith is a really big part of your yes, your life, but also your practice, right?
Yes, absolutely. I think that's the main thing, especially with the doctor I work with. His name is Dr. Pete Sulak. That's really the big why behind our why we come to the office every day is because we want to make people known. We want to make them feel
Mhm.
loved and just expose their worth and value. I think that's the main thing, that no matter what, if you decide to become a patient, if you don't decide to pursue care, our main objective is that you leave the office with a better understanding of health, and two, that you feel loved, that you are seen, and you realize your potential, your hope, your worth, and your value. Um, and that's the greatest thing, is when you see someone go from that look of despair, um, this is my last chance, and you really flip that switch. Is like, hey, I'm gonna run this race with you. We love you, and you're gonna get better, because we know that anything is possible, and we believe that. So we have patients who come in from out of state. We have patients, sometimes we come from out of country, and it's just an honor for us to be able to serve and love them.
Oh, absolutely. One thing that I got from that was essentially like chiropractic is it's very research based. There's research to back it up. There's science to back it up. But a lot of people, if they don't have faith in themselves or hope in themselves that they can overcome those challenges or those health challenges, they're not going to see the best results. They might see some, but they're not going to get the best results. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So that's one of the main things that we've been working on in the office. I know with some of the groups that we've both been involved with, Doc, mindset is such a big part of patient care. First of all, for us to believe that what we're doing and be fully convicted that what we adjust, what we get to do every single day is
Mm-hmm.
going to make a positive impact.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we're going to do our best, but we also need the patients to meet us in the middle. We're
Yeah.
going to fight with them, but we need them to be on board. We need them to understand, because physiologically, if you look at the science as well, that mindset, like just a positive outlook, can change the chemistry in the body. And because of that, like, that's probably one of the most important things to start off with at our office, is to, hey, you're gonna be healthy, and you just gotta believe that and trust the process, because we're here fighting for you, and we need you to pull up your weight and walk this thing out with us. So I think that's one of the most important things as well when you become a patient in our office is, hey, like, let's get you believing the truth again.
Mm-hmm. I love that. So talk to me. Who was that doc who you met for the first time, where you went to the doctor's report, got adjusted? Is that in Mississauga?
Yes. So his name is Dr. Manny Kumar.
Okay.
He was one of my partners growing up. He was a couple years older than me, but we would hit off the tee together. He is from Mississauga, and his practice is there. And I think he works with a lot of athletes right now as well. So I knew him through the baseball realm that I was in the past. And when I reached out to him, I remember this so vividly. I was in the library at school, and I think we had a game the next day, and I was looking up top like salaries, or like the top things you could do in the healthcare profession. And I just reached out to him, and I'm like, hey, like, what's it like to be a chiropractor, or what does that mean? He's like, when you get home, I'll take you to a chiropractor, and we'll just go from there. And the first office that I went to was a Cafe of Life. I think it was in London, Ontario.
Mm-hmm.
And it was with Dr. Jamie Richards, I believe. And
Oh yeah.
I sat through his doctor's report, and I just watched the office flow. And those were the first guys who really like turned the tables on me, and I really understood what chiropractic was and what true health was at that moment. And I just had that peace when I sat through the doctor's report that, hey, I am stepping into the right direction with where I'm going with my future.
Dr. Jamie Richards, I think, is that the Life by Design?
Life by
franchise?
Design.
Yeah.
Yes, and
I listened to his podcast too.
he's really awesome. He's a great doctor.
So tell me, brother, what have been some of the major lessons you've learned since starting practice? I know you said you've been in for just about a year now. But even in that year, it goes fast, but at the same time, so much can happen. What's one thing that you've learned? A success, a struggle, or something you'd be comfortable sharing with the audience?
Yeah, so fortunately, I've been blessed to just really jump into a practice where we see a really high volume of patients. Um, Definitely, it's not for everybody,
Mm-hmm.
but for me, I think with my capacity that right now I can handle it. And one of the biggest things that I need to remember is I really can't put chiropractic into a box for some number one, with all the things that I've seen. And I've seen a lot throughout my schooling career, and even in practice already I've seen things that have um, kind of blown me away. I'm like, wow, we're I would step into the back office sometimes, and I would write it in my journal and realize, like, wow, we're changing the world with what we do when we lay
Mm-hmm.
hands on people. I think one of the the coolest things that I've experienced is having a mom come in. Now she's a mom, but she came in with her husband, and they were infertile, and they've been trying for years, several years now. And they come to a chiropractor for back pain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like what you see in your office as well. And I know that was one of the main things. And we just believed. Like for me, I've never had experienced personally a case. I've heard of it, but never personally. And so after a few months of care, they said, "Hey, Dr. J, we're pregnant." And at that moment, I realized that what we do is so much greater than what the public sees us. And like the stories, they're good and all, but once you experience that, it's such an amazing thing. Just and walking through them through the journey of the pregnancy, and I had like tears in my eyes when I saw the kid, and like, this is where you were adjusted, and now the person, the live human being that said you weren't supposed to be here, is laying on the table getting their first adjustment. Like
No, that's
there
awesome.
is nothing better than that. You know, that's number one. Like, we can't put what we do in a box. We have to believe that we can do more than what the confinements are.
Mhm.
That's what, like I said, that like whatever you come in with, whether it's stage 4 cancer, fibromyalgia, depression, anxiety, um, it's not going to raise my heartbeat, because I
Mhm.
know that what we're going to do is going to make positive impact in your life, and we're going to believe, for miracles, we're going to believe that you're going to get better in our office. And for that, for me, that starts off with myself,
Mhm.
is mindset. So going into the office, I just need to be grounded, humble, and really believe, like, hey, I'm not the healer here. I'm just facilitating the adjustment. Um, but who am I to control, like, the power of the living God? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so that's number one, is believing that. Um, and in the midst of all the adjusting, especially in a high volume practice, sometimes it can get exhausting. It can get tiring, especially going in every day and adjusting that many people. But just keeping your perspective right, as long as your perspective is right, and uh, you're able to serve from the outpour instead of an empty cup,
Mhm.
then we really get to experience the fullness of what we get to do.
So tell me what, because I'm 100% with you. You know, we can't pour from an empty cup, so we have to fill ourselves and make sure that we're taking care of ourselves, making sure that um, we're taking time to pray, meditate, work out, eat healthy. What are some of the things that keeps you filled?
Yeah, so I think being a chiropractic doctor is, you know, one of the more challenging things. I mean, it's also one of the most rewarding things to be doing, but at the same time, we need to be on top of everything. We need to be the example for our patients, whether it's dietary or lifestyle, um, how we live, what we eat.
Mm-hmm.
you know, like we're an example. And if we cannot model that, then our patients won't, will only get so far. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so for me, like getting up early, getting rooted in truth, and you know, getting a workout in, and just those little things that will snowball effect to where you get to the office, and your perspective is right, and you're just ready to serve your patients. Like
Mm-hmm.
we need to, before we get to the office, be full ourselves, and so they can get the best of us,
Yeah.
um, instead of just waking up and rolling. I think as an athlete too, this is how I picture it, is that um, we train all our life to go to the big leagues or to play sports at a major league level. And that's a lot of hours that are not seen, you know, whether it's the nutritional aspect or the training in the cage when no one's there watching. We train all our lives to get to a certain point, and
Mm-hmm.
once we get there, doesn't mean practice stops. Like before games, players are on the field taking batting practice, or they're shooting free throws. They're listening to their their pump up music, and and all that is done hours before the game. You know, preparation, film, and so as an athlete, like I took on that mindset that before we get to the office, or before I get to the office, is hey, let me listen to my tunes, let me get my mind right, and by the time I get to practice, I'm already warmed up
Yeah.
and ready to go. It's not like a show and go, and my muscles are cold, and I'm really just kind of going through the motions. Like that's not where I want to be. And you know, to be honest, like sometimes I found myself in that position, and looking back at it, it's like, hey, I wasn't able to serve that particular patient at that time at the best of my abilities. And so that's something to keep in mind, and something that helps me push forward.
Mm-hmm. Good. That's. I was going to ask you that next question. So, what keeps you inspired every single day? So, regardless of being tired, um, having a tough time in your life, whether it's a crappy patient that comes in or something at home that happens, what keeps you going? Like, what's one thing that really just grounds you?
I think first and foremost that I don't look at work as work, you know, or a job. It's just a privilege that I get to do every single day. That for me, I get to just walk in and serve patients. Um, it's a joy, and when it becomes my joy to be there, to be an advocate, and to just watch people and facilitate their happiness and wellness and whole being, it's that's my inspiration, is to see people unlock, just being able to unlock their worth and value. um, and when I think about that, when I think about just the way um, Jesus served people, like that's what I want to model. When I become more like him and model that, I can
Mm-hmm.
be a reflection of that in the office. And so that's my biggest inspiration. and and if that's the number one thing, is just to love and serve people,
Mm-hmm.
the and it's not about financials and anything else, then that's where I feel the most full. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, I love that. So where do you see yourself in the future? Do you see yourself coming back to Canada or staying down there?
That's a great question. And that's something that, I've been personally like just unsure about. It was the future, um, now being in the South. I lived in Atlanta for 4 years, and now here I'm in Knoxville just over a year now. And at first it kind of broke my parents' heart that to tell them that, hey, I think I'm being called to stay in the US.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they're like, what? Like we have a lot of people who want to come see you at home, and we could take care of you. But they're on board, and they just want the best for me.
Yeah.
So now I had my visa approved recently, which is such a blessing.
Congratulations,
So
man.
right now,
That's yeah.
thank you. And as a Canadian, like that's not an easy thing.
No.
or feet. So, you know, like that just allows me, hey, like you're meant to be here. Like, you know,
Yeah.
that was an affirmation or like confirmation.
Yeah.
Doc, you're supposed to be here. So as for now, I know this is where I'm supposed to be at this moment in my life. And wherever I end up, I think it'll still be um, here somewhere in the US. You know, I thought about California, but I think just wherever I end up will be just another place I can serve patients, you know,
Yeah.
um, another place where I can impact and change lives and really change a community. So right now I'm happy. I know this is where I'm supposed to be right now and I love it. The weather's great
Yeah.
in the south. Um, and so who knows, like maybe in a few years we can catch up, do another
Yeah, absolutely.
podcast, and I'll be somewhere else. But you know, I'm just really grateful to be
I
here.
love it. Yeah. I was gonna say, so where do you see the States is very different from Canada, I would say, in the sense of the political stuff. But if you were to see chiropractic in the near future, where would you like to see it?
That's a great question. I know with everything in chiropractic going on right now and back home in Canada and here, you know, there's even a lot of tension within the profession, you
Hmm.
know, and for us, I think instead of looking at, hey, this is where I want to see chiropractic within the whole medical model or Western health in this time in the future, like for me, I want to see more union in our profession. You know, I want to be able to look at a fellow chiropractor and colleague and, you know, really just share stories and not make it about this technique is better or whatever I do is better and whatever you're doing is right or wrong.
Hmm.
But just to be able to, hey, like we're getting people healthy and you know we're really making a positive impact with our profession. So I'd like to see our profession really unite, and then really once we unite, that's when we can really see change in a global scale. And so
Yeah, I'm right with you, man. Like part of this podcast, what I wanted to do is um, not only feature, like the big time docs that have been doing it for 15, 20 years, I've been seeing 1,000 a week. I wanted to see that and hear the stories from the everyday chiropractor, kind of like you and I, and just see like everybody has their own story, something inspirational within them. And I want to really bring that out amongst the profession. And I know you and I are very, I would say, vitalistic chiropractors, correct?
yes,
And my goal is really not to just have vitalistic chiropractors on this podcast, but more so to get a little bit more inclusive and uh, have all our brothers and sisters on this podcast to see like, hey, we're actually just here to help the people, help the patients. And it's not always about the next dollar. Where's your next dollar going to come from? Where's your next meal going to come from? It's
mm-hmm.
about how do I help my patient that's in front of me better? And then the next one after that, how do I serve them better? And then the next one and the next one after that. So I really appreciate that message that I'd like to see more unity as well, just like you. And I think if we do that, or at least I don't think we'll see the complete unity in this profession, like any profession.
Yeah,
But if we can at least be more accepting of each other and be more
yeah,
loving and go from that aspect of things, this profession is going to do some big, 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 big things and make some amazing changes in this, not only on this continent, in my country and the States, but also across the world.
I totally agree with that. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
like just total like unity and like it's probably like a hard thing to envision, especially in our profession. But
Hmm.
you know, once we accept each other's opinion and just you know, my main thing is, hey man, like let's just love others, love each other, and serve our patients to the best because I believe that whatever you're doing, whatever I'm doing, you know, is gonna help the patient. And so yeah.
I love that. So I have a couple more questions. On top of everything we've already spoken about already, what would be one thing you'd like to leave with the audience? Whether that's a quote, affirmation, a passage, a life lesson, something that really resonates with you. What's one message that could inspire the audience or anyone listening today?
Yeah, so I'm really going on top of my head here, but the one thing that's sticking out to me right now is, no matter who it is, like our job is not to call them out, but to call them up. So like you're not labeled by your disease or whatever, or I don't want to call you out for your wrongs, but hey, I'm here to expose your worth and value. So let me call you up. Like, let's do this thing together. Let's be healthy and let's really get after it. And like, that's our motto in our office. And that's kind of the motto in life when you look at just interactions with other people is, hey, I'm not here to belittle you or to call you out, but I'm here to call you up. And so once we approach life into that aspect, you're really just championing others. And I think that's an important thing is championing your friends, championing people who don't feel that worth, championing our patients, just as they achieve their health goals. Hey man, you're doing such an amazing job. And like, look how far we've come from the start, like we just want to make people feel loved. And I think that's just the main thing. That's the main message for me and to you guys. And I hope that really inspires any of the listeners is, hey, like that there's a lot of power in the tongue, in the words that we say. And let's really utilize that to our advantage, because we have the power when we lay our hands or do our adjustments as a chiropractor, whatever technique that may be. But let's also feed into that mindset aspect. Let's by using our words, and just really loving on people. So yeah.
Awesome, man. I love it. We have some time. You have some time?
I do. Yes, Doc.
Yeah. Okay. So let me ask you a couple of questions here. This is kind of the bonus round. So what resources would you direct listeners to pick up, listen, or watch?
That's, there's a few things. For me, there's different wells that I go to fill my cup up. One is the Word of God, and that's first and foremost. The most important thing for me is if I can live my life the way Jesus did, that's ultimately the main goal of my life. Number two is really get into chiropractic books. And so what I've just been going through for me is the 33 principles of chiropractic. That's something I've just been rolling through, just one a day. And I just started that actually a couple days ago. And one of the books that really changed my life back when I was in school is when I had that turning point was Miracle Morning by Hal Elrond. Is how to transform your life before 8 a.m. I think that's the time that they said. And, once you really get into a routine and habit, then you can walk into the office and just there's a different atmosphere. There's a different thing about you when you walk in, because you're already so full and you're ready to serve. And those are the main things. I do listen to podcasts as well. A lot of them are sermons. But for me, with the time that I have, and I'll listen when I'm driving in the car, or working out, or sitting in the sauna, something like that. I just will listen to a few things here and there.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm exactly the same. Like, I listen to a lot of audiobooks, podcasts. I wake up at around 5:30 a.m. I used to do 4:30. I was like, holy smokes, that's pretty early.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, it's that morning preparation, that people say, like, it's the power hour. It's the first thing you do. It's your morning routine. And really having a precedence to establish that is going to help you fill up and get your mind right. I also say that you get your soul right, you get your heart right, and you get your body right. And when you can do all those things in that morning, it really just lets you have such a productive and successful day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice,
I
man.
think One other thing to add on that, like I remember there got to a point where I was waking up that early as well, and I think a month late or 2 months in, like I got burned out because I would go to bed late. um, but one thing like to encourage listeners is like, hey, if you don't wake up at that time that you set, like it's not too late, you
Hmm.
know, like you didn't wake up for the hell, and like don't look at it as a loss already because you didn't wake up at the time that you set, like
Hmm.
because you can snowball, you can just go keep taking L's if you go through that path. So for me, like hey, like just have some grace, and if you don't wake up at the time that you set, hey, like you have this is another opportunity. Like
Hmm.
let's make some wins out of this day.
There's always tomorrow.
Yeah.
To start it again. But yeah, I'm with you. So give me one last question. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received? And it doesn't have to be chiropractic. It can be just in your life, since you're a baby, whatever. What's one piece of advice?
Man, that's broad. So I think this this is the advice that I gave to a lot of students that I've mentored at school. Um, and it really transformed and changed my life was to get out in the community and build build community, build friendships and intentional relationships with people. For me, I am pretty much an introvert, but with a message like what we have, Doc, like we need to get out and share the good news. We need to get out there and really empower other people. And so when you do that, just everything that in my life has just opened up that I never would have expected, from um, being able to serve and adjust at certain like tours or with people and just to share the health message. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's hard to get caught up in just the books and going through the motions, but go out there, go change your community, really get your hands and feet going, and really invest into people. I think that is like one of the essences of what we get to do is really build people up, create disciples, and like just instead of um, like I think this is an old saying, but um, like teach a man to fish instead, So
Mm-hmm.
once you empower people and you really love on them, like you can really transform like the ripple effect or was it pay it forward, what
Yeah.
it is. But
Yeah.
it just multiplies and just the people you get to impact is will be amazing. I think one of the most rewarding things, even for me, like I'm really young in my career, but we've already inspired a handful of people to go into a chiropractic school, and for
Mm-hmm.
me, I think that's one of the greatest things is like, man, my life has really affected somebody else's that
Mm-hmm.
they want to follow in those footsteps and they want to become a leader as well. And so that's my thing. Invest in people,
Yeah.
build lasting intentional relationships, and and don't think that you could just do this alone. We're here. I'm here to serve with you, Doc. Anything you need,
Mm-hmm.
um, you can call me at any time. Because we're here. We're in it together.
We are. Thank you, man. I appreciate this conversation.
Thank you. What an honor to catch up and just kind
Yeah,
of just have a conversation. Yeah.
dude, we're gonna have to do this again sometime.
Yeah, absolutely,
If that's
man.
cool.
I'm so grateful. So good.
Yeah, it was fun. Hey, it was fun. I loved it.
Yeah.
So for our listeners, or anyone out there that's listening to this later, uh, all the show notes for Dr. J. Torralba's episode will be down below, and also there will be a link available to my website. Uh, Dr. Torralba, Jay, can you give us or give the listeners a place to come find you, like a website or anything like that?
Yeah, so working on the website right now, but you can follow me on social media at J Torralba, and I think it's just Instagram, and I think that's it right now. and just kind of just follow what's going on in life and everything that we're doing here in the South.
Yeah. South, I love it. Okay, so again, listeners, head over to Instagram. You're probably on Facebook too, hey?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dr. J. Torralba.
Yeah, and just look for Dr. J. Torralba. I did see a site that you had, and then there's a video of you playing a Disney medley on the piano, which was amazing.
Yes.
So if you want to learn more about Dr. J, head over to his website, head over to his Instagram. Dr. J, thank you so much again for being on this podcast, being on this episode. I really appreciate it, man.
It's an honor. It's so good. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and again, I'll keep in touch. But for now, you be good, and I'll hopefully I'll see you sooner than later.
Absolutely. Yes.
All right, man. Okay, take it easy, dude. Thanks again.
Take care. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll chat soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the Chiro Inspired Podcast. If you found value in today's episode, please take some time to rate and review this on iTunes or wherever you're listening. If you know a friend or colleague who you think may get value from this episode or podcast, please feel free to share this with them. My goal is to always provide you with value and to leave you inspired. I believe that inspiration is all around us, but more importantly, first comes from within us. We are all a source of inspiration for others and also for ourselves. If you have any suggestions or know anyone who would be a great guest, please feel free to email me or connect with me at www.drletta.com. I look forward to connecting with you. So until next time, this is Dr. Rich. Peace out.